All right, everyone, welcome back. And we are ready to move on. We have completed floor plan, foundation plan, and of course the legend. And now it is time to talk about this typical foundation view work. And all I'm going to do here is create a basic section and nothing new here, and put in just maybe one or two pieces of annotation. What I want to highlight in this particular set of videos is two things. We're going to create a second section view, and we're going to create a filled region that has kind of a bit of uniqueness. And I also want to highlight that I have two different section callouts referring to the same section view. And this section view call out here is a duplicate, and I'm going to show us how to do that, and making sure that that's clear. All right, so let's do that and let's get started. All right, here we are. So I'm going to activate the foundation plan view. Actually, probably I'm going to kind of go back here for just a second. There was a piece of text that I put down here in the PDF that's on Blackboard. It's not here. Let me touch on that for a second. In the foundation plan, I'm showing the walls as a very low resolution. I think we talked about that. And as dashed lines in gray. Although, because it's a foundation plan, walls really shouldn't show. And because I'm showing them, I need to tell someone, meaning whoever is reading the drawing, why they're showing. So I'm going to put some text in here explaining that. We'll try 1/4 inch. It's probably a little too big. So I'm just going to use this and add it actually in paper space. And I'm going to say walls above and get caps lock on. So the idea here is that I'm telling the drawing reader that I am doing something that's not completely standard, and I am showing them what I'm doing. So I don't like this 1/4 inch text. Apparently I don't have 1/8 inch text in my file, so let's create some. I'm going to edit this 1/4 inch text type. I'll duplicate, and I'm just going to rename it so that it's 1/8 inch Arial, and I'm going to change the size to 1/8 inch. And the text size is down here in the properties, and I can even type in a fraction. And so I'm okay with that. That looks just fine. All right, so notice that that text is in paper space, by the way, and so now I'm going to move on and create that section view that we're discussing. I activate the view. Of course, on the View tab is where my section callouts are. So View and Section. And remember that I am going to be drawing this section view from head to tail. And if I draw from right to left, my view is going to look up. If I draw from left to right, my view is going to look down. So I want my view to look up, so I'm going to place that, let's say, how about here? I will draw right to left, which is exactly backwards of what I just said. And I am looking up as I would like to see. So one of the things I always do is I always make sure that in my section views I'm only showing exactly what I want to show. So I tend to make my view as short as possible and still show everything that I'm looking to see. So now I'm going to move that head in just a little bit so that it's off the dimension line. And I have that created. So if I look over into my project browser, I can expand my sections, and I only have one, so I know it's the correct section. And so before I do anything else, now that I've created that section, I'm going to deactivate this view and drag that section view onto the page. And by doing that, I will automatically populate the callout head, which helps me organize and keep track of what files are where. So I'll click this into place, and of course I'm going to have to adjust the size quite a bit. So I'll activate the view, and adjust the crop. And while I'm here, let's set this view scale. I think the view scale that I used was, let's try 3 inches equals a foot. It might be a little too large. If I zoom out and take a peek, yeah, it looks a little bigger than it needs to be. Let's do 1.5 inches equals a foot. That seems like it's a reasonable scale. And so at this point, I want to make sure that it's fine resolution. I'm okay with that. I'm going to exit the view back to paper space, move this thing somewhere that it fits on the page. And then now I have to adjust the view title bar. I'll bring it up and get it to an appropriate size. Okay. Let's see, I'm showing the crop view, and I don't want to see that as a drawing reader, so I'm going to turn that off in my properties over here on the left. Make my crop region not visible. And for our last set of edits, I'm going to, of course, adjust these levels in this particular case. I'll bring that over towards the edge of the view, and I'm going to also need to adjust the right-hand side to bring the titles off of my view. And notice before I did that, I made sure that my 2D adjustments were turned on, and I'm actually going to leave that here. Okay. I will deactivate this view, and the last thing I'm going to do in this particular video is to duplicate this callout. So to do that, I'm going to activate the lower view, and I'm going to progress back to the View tab and say I want a new section view. Okay. And in this particular section view, I'm not going to draw it yet. I'm going to come up and ask Revit to reference a different view. As soon as I hit that checkbox, I can drop down, and notice there is a section 1, right? Any other section view that is in this file would show up in this drop down. That's the one I want to reference, so I'm going to click that, and I'm going to draw specifically right to left this time. So I'm looking down on this side. So what I want to highlight is that in the section view, I want the orientation to be correct to the actual view itself. So if I am standing looking down, the outside of the building is on the left. And if I am over in this area and standing looking toward the area, the outside of the building is on the left. And that's what the actual section view shows. So one section is pointed up, the opposite is pointed down, and notice Revit gives us this little SIM, meaning it's similar. So it highlights to me as a creator that this callout isn't actually generating a view, it's referring to another view. So I'm going to leave that here. What I will say is when I'm working out in industry, what I do is I don't like to see that much, so I edit the type, and I ask Revit not to show me this reference label called sim. I guess I actually am going to change it. I just put a period, right? It becomes very unobtrusive, so someone who's reading the drawing doesn't even notice it, but if I'm working in Revit, I can clearly see a dot, and I know that it's then a duplicate. All right, so I'm going to exit this view. And now in the next video of this session, we're going to create one additional section view highlighting what this column looks like underneath the concrete pad. Hope this is helpful, and we'll see you in that video.